In the top left, we have just a little bit of sample data. The real case, we had a few thousand rows. And here's what we have to do. We want the first code, so the first code for the selected city in cell K2, where the description is not blank. So here we see all the different ones for Miami, and we want to get this one over here in row 8, cell C8, because it's the first time we see Miami, and the description is not blank. So that is a key thing here. First non-blank description for Miami. And so this will be our answer. We want this one. Now, one thing is the order has some kind of a significance, whatever that is, so we can't sort the data, we can't do anything like that to make it easier to solve. And we want to have a dynamic solution, so we can't use Power Query or pivots, at least in this video. I'm going to show you 7 formulas that can solve this. So let's go over to here, and you know what, just at the bottom of the video, when you're done watching, tell me which solution you like the best. So we're going to go through all of these, and all 7 of these. Just let me know which one you think is the best one, and give me your reason as well. All right, let's now walk through these one by one. The first one is this vlookup array. So it's an array formula. It requires Control-Shift-Enter. There are no helper columns, and there's only one function used. That's the beauty of it. But for a novice or even intermediate Excel user, it would be very complex. So let's go take a look. Here we have our formula. The very first thing is you'll notice this. Now, what is this doing? It's basically saying take K2, which is currently Miami, and anything. So that's what inside of here we have the asterisk and the question mark. It means anything, any kind of text, as long as it's not blank or not null. So that's what our lookup value is doing. This part's also tricky. Table array. Notice how I'm concatenating. It's like 2 blocks or 2 ranges of data. So you see them overlapping here. The first one A to C, the second one B to D. And the magic of this VLOOKUP that it depends, no helpers, but concatenating these 2 parts together. Now this part's not fancy at all. It's just give us the third column, which is going to be our code. That is our answer. And we have to have a 0 here for exact match. And at the very end, we have +0. Why do we have this? Well, I'll take this off for a second. Do our Control-Shift-Enter. This is an array formula. And because I have nothing pressed or changed, the default alignment goes to the left, because that number, over here it's a number, but now we have a number as text because of, I think it's because of this part, the table array that's concatenating all this stuff. But anyways, all we have to do is say +0, reapply our Control-Shift-Enter, and then Excel realizes, oh, wait a minute, that's a number, so I'm going to treat it as a number. So there's several things to explain in here, and that's what makes this so tough. But it is very, very tidy. Only one little cell, one function. So let's go on now to our second one. Index and match array. Very, very similar to what we just saw, but we're taking the VLOOKUP, we're splitting it into 2 parts. This is a little bit safer. I won't review all of this, but because we have, we have column A, column B, you could insert a column in between A and B, or maybe even C, and it wouldn't destroy anything. That's what makes this nice, and I would say it's a little bit easier to understand. But this, the match, is still an array because we're concatenating A and B. So we get this number. It indicates counting down from here. We want the 7th one. And index is just basically saying, hey, I'm looking at these codes. Which one do you want? Well, K2 says, hey, give us the 7th one. And that's how we get our answer. Now watch this. We could combine these together, right? If you want to make this a little bit tidy, harder to explain. It's easier to explain if you have it like this in 2 separate parts. But let's do this. I'm going to do Control apostrophe to get the exact same formula. Then I'm just going to drag this over here, and I am going to go back, copy this part of the match, everything except for the equal sign, go inside of here, replace K2 with our match, and the match is an array, so this time I have to do Control-Shift-Enter. So you notice here, it's not an array, but this is. So over here, when we combine them together, that's definitely an array formula. But it gives the same answer, all in one step. All right, let's keep moving here. And now we get into the third one, which almost works. I learned this from Mike Gervin. And if we were looking for the last time, so let's go over to our lookup here. If the requirement was, hey, we want for Miami the last time the description is not blank, this would be perfect. But see how we have the array conditions, But the lookup can handle an array without Control-Shift-Enter, right? Because that's very easy to forget. To come in here, to adjust it, and if it's an array formula, you have to do Control-Shift-Enter. But here, you don't have to. It can handle it without the special brackets. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. It's not giving us the one we want, which is this one, or this code. It keeps going and gives us the last one. So this does not work. Let's go back now and look at helper and vlookup. This is where it gets a little bit easier. If we were just to go back here, and very low. Complexity is very low. It does have a helper, and it's still only two functions that are being used. So let's go back and look at this guy. We've got our selected city, Miami, again. What is this doing? Well, it's using that same technique to say, hey, look for Miami in anything, but in column A, which is our helper. And all this is doing is concatenating the two things together, right? B and C together all the way down. And then we just look for this in column A, and column B has our answer. So this one is, I would say, if you have someone who not, just starting out with Excel, this is good. But here's what's even better. This solution, I almost didn't think of this. This is the lowest. I would say use this one to help people who don't want to spend many hours learning about arrays. Let's go over and look at this one. Look at here, we don't have that and anything, right? We're just saying look for Miami. That's all we're doing. This is the simplest one, just one formula, not an array, because I put an if statement over here. I said, hey, if the description's blank, well, this does not qualify. Just leave it as a blank. So all the way down, here we have the first time that we see Miami is right there. So we just go all the way across, and that is our answer. So this simple little VLOOKUP does the trick, and that's why this is such a great solution. Probably maybe the best one. Now, let's go over here, and this is a helper and index match, right? So it is almost identical to what we just saw. We have the same key going all the way down. First time we see Miami is right there. That's our answer. But we do split the VLOOKUP in two parts. Here's our match. Look for Miami in here. It gives us a number counting down. It is the seventh one. And then our index just says, hey, I'm looking at column D with these codes. Which one do you want? Well, we want the seventh one. And just like before, we could combine these together. And there is one left, but I think this one is overcomplicating it. But I'll just put it in here. It's sort of the old school classic array. I'll go in here, and we've got our conditions. Let's ignore the index for now. But we go in here, and we've got our conditions that column A has to equal Miami, column B has to not be blank. And then when that's true, we get sort of this dynamic counter using the row function, and that gives us the 7. I can prove that. I'll go in here, press F9 key, and there's the 7, which feeds into our index. You just count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is our answer. Then you have to do Control-Shift-Enter, but that's I would say too complicated. So anyways, at the bottom of the video, or if you go to my post, please leave a comment and indicate which of these solutions are your favorite. And then hopefully tomorrow or maybe Thursday, I will do solve this in a non-formula way, which was kind of fun as well.